What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Chunk Light Media, where we're not doing a podcast today because not everyone showed up, but we're doing a Marvel tier list, which we have also already done because me and Hector recorded this in January, but it was pretty garbage and was too long, and I did not feel like editing 2 hours worth of content all into like a 10-minute video.
Just like 2-3 hours of us rambling about the same movies that we have the same opinions about.
Yeah. But now we're redoing it, and we have another person who we will introduce in just a short second. But before we get into that, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you don't like,
he'll come after you. He'll come after your family. He'll come after your loved ones.
He will. He's done it before.
He knows what you think of when you dream, so don't think about not liking and subscribing.
You gotta hit the notification bell as well. Otherwise, we come after extended family as well.
Yeah.
And he'll resurrect your family and love for loved ones, etc.
And today we have two special guests. One who is a reoccurring guest because this is his new full-time job now.
Hello, this is Hector. I am back again, here to talk more comics, more bullshit.
We also have another special guest who has been wanting to come on the podcast for a while. Even though this isn't a podcast, he will be in a podcast one of these eventual days. But for today, he is here recording this tier list with us. Who are you?
Angel. I am from Dodo Productions, my YouTube channel. Go ahead and check that out. Sorry, I'm plugging, but
no, actually, I want you to
gotta share the
plug in.
Yeah.
Plug that YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I'm some dude that likes to review movies, hopefully games eventually. I say I'm gonna do stuff, but then I get caught up with my own bullshit. So
yeah, that's everyone. That's like I say I'm gonna release a video and I never do.
Yeah.
So go subscribe to Dodo Productions, guys.
Yeah, I just had a video up this morning.
Right.
Like, comment, subscribe, both the channels. Give us all the views.
I'll kill you if you don't subscribe to my channel. He'll kill if you don't subscribe to his.
We are very aggressive content makers.
Yeah.
When the clock
in the name of the
in
Yahoo!
All right, guys. As you read from the title, today we are doing the Morbius tier list.
The Morbius cinematic universe.
Yeah, top 10 Morbius moments that never really happened in the movie.
No. That's just Chinese propaganda. Don't worry about it. He says it's Morbin time. Don't believe what they say.
It's Morbin time. I know he has at least one Morbius sweep. Whatever else has been coming up from that.
Whatever they could come up with that has Morb in it.
Are we actually gonna have that movie on the tier list?
Oh no, that's not even there.
It should.
It should, bro.
There's technically a crossover in the after credits, but I think we're getting 3 faces ahead of ourselves because we need to discuss the first one, the one that started it all in 2008, I believe.
So we're gonna cut this video in like 3 or 4 parts. No. 3 parts. Yeah, 3 parts. But yeah, first part of the video, we are doing phase 1 and 2, the phases that I guess we don't really pay attention to as much as,
They're the ones that everybody knows at this point. Everybody knows about the Guardians. Like, everybody is familiar, I want to say, with at least phase 1.
Familiar with them now, but at the time these movies were coming out, they were like, who the fuck is Spider-Man? Okay, all right, let's get into it then. Phase 1, we'll start with 2008's Iron Man 1. Iron Man 1. It's a fun movie. Definitely a relic of the late 2000s superhero type of like blockbuster genre. Because when I think of Iron Man, I also think of other movies like Transformers, the original, and it was stuck in like that superhero, that 2000 superhero.
I always think about the Burger King commercials that you would see and shit. I don't know why. It's just like
No, yeah, those Burger King commercials used to go hard.
Yeah.
I remember that the Hulk. Have you seen? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, whatever. I'll talk about that when Incredible Hulk comes out. But Iron Man 1 is a good introduction to Iron Man, a great introduction to Iron Man. The things that I like about that movie, Robert Downey Jr., of course, everyone was like, "Oh, Robert Downey Jr. is doing this." You know, he's had a troubled past. To see how his big comeback is. And it played out like really fucking good, and in the long run it also played out really good. The action scenes are fun, they're good. It's just a really fun movie. It's really fun and enjoyable. My cons of the movie, I think the villain's garbage. Stylistically it wasn't really like super like shot in a very stylistic way. It was kind of there, like I said, like 2000s superhero type of like way of shooting the film. But I guess it was their first project, which I'll be like, all right, you know. I would say Iron Man for me is B tier. And you're gonna think like all my critiques are like harsh and stuff, but it's a very high B tier for me, at least.
I have a lot of the same thoughts. Like, for the most part, it's not my favorite Marvel movie. I saw it years after it came out, just kind of like I wanted to catch up with like everything that had come out already. And for it to be the first one, like, it's solid. I definitely enjoy it. Up to modern standards, I think, like, you know, doesn't hold up as well as like some other movies. But in a lot of aspects, you know, like what Diego said, it like just sort of got the ball rolling. It just got like, okay, here's this character, here's what he's about, here's a little movie about him. And, you know, like it worked out, thankfully. And then, you know, they just sort of continued after that. But apparently during the first one, like, they just didn't know what they were doing. Like, they improvised half the script or whatever. So, like, I am surprised they came out like the way it is, which is like, you know, mostly coherent story. Like, it's not amazing, it's not groundbreaking, but it makes sense. You can watch it and be like, all right, this is a good superhero movie. I think like visually it still holds up kind of well, because just the fact that the actual Iron Man suit is real, and like you can tell that they actually made one, not like in Infinity War where he just like standing like a
CGI.
He's like, I'm wearing one of the like weird gray tracksuits and shit.
Yeah, like after that he just looks like he's photoshopped into every scene. But in this one, you know, like the suit's there, you can tell that he's like inside the armor, and like it's not my favorite, but I think it does do a lot of things correctly, and I think, you know, it was a good start off to the universe.
It was a good introduction.
For me, it's either a high B or a low A.
I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because it's like my first MC movie in theaters. I actually saw it opening night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nice. Like back in the day, right before they had like 7 p.m. showings, there used to be 12 a.m. showings.
Right. No, yeah, I remember midnight release used to be midnight release.
Yeah, like I saw Spider-Man 3. I saw this, Dark Knight. So I'm a little biased, but I think this is a strong-ass movie with great characters. It's a very dark and edgy story at times. Like, mind you, this was like in the height of like the Iraq War, and like the main villains are
That's very true.
Like, it's very edgy and shit.
Those aspects of the movie are really good.
That's one thing I don't think I watched it as a kid, because my parents were like, "Oh, it's about a fucking white guy during the war." Like they just saw that it was like about a rich millionaire like during the movie, and they're like, I don't know what this is about.
It is a product of its time. Don't get me wrong. The villain, I forgot who the fuck his name was, honestly.
Obadiah Stane.
The Iron Mongler or some shit like that, right?
Some stupid shit. He was like Tony Stark's dad's like best friend or some shit.
Yeah.
Trust me, you're gonna hear a lot of like, oh, this is related. This villain is related to Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Like half the MCU.
Right. Weak story, in my opinion. I mean, not weak story, weak villain. But where it counts is the character, the introduction of him. There's character development. When you first meet Tony, he's kind of an arrogant asshole.
Right.
And then progressively throughout the movie, he's like this character that's like, all right, I can't just be this guy that openly develops weapons.
Right.
Which we'll come to find out in later MCU movies that maybe his weapons don't exactly help anyone. But I just love the fact that he actually has a character arc. He goes from being a douchebag to somebody that actually wants to do good for people. You know, I think the weakest part is the action. I think it's very early 2000s.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right, it feels like it's a product of the time in terms of like the action scenes. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it has great characters. It's a great introduction to Iron Man. Maybe the action was like a little.
It is, but I like the design of Ironmonger. I don't know, like there's something about those early. I am so sorry. I am so sorry, sir. There's something about the designs of the earlier Iron Man suits and the villains that were very intriguing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which there's something interesting that I'll get into the Iron Man 2. But for this one, I think it was a solid introduction to the MCU, and I think it was a perfect opportunity for RDJ to start off as well
Right.
and shit. So for me, this is like high A, just because it's like, it's just so good, man. It's like, I know some people don't like it nearly as much, but it's just a great introduction to the Iron Man character. So for me, it's like a really, really high A. So
Should we meet in the middle and
You know what? I
do,
think
a low A?
I respect that view because, like I said, I think that was like the last of the Iron Mans I saw. I saw Iron Man 2. That was the first one I saw. Then 3, and then this one was the last one I saw. So like, I think by then I just like I knew about the character, like whatever. So I just wasn't impressed. But like, you know, I wasn't there in 2008 in the theaters being like,
it's a whole
it's the
different-
Iron Man, because it's hard to think about it now, but back then, like, it was kind of cool to get like an Iron Man that looked like how you thought Iron Man
Right.
would look, because even back then it was still like costumes were like okay for the most part, but like not everybody landed it.
we were getting Daredevils, we were getting Catwoman. So you can understand when we get something like Batman Begins or Dark Knight or Iron Man, like we're eating good, you know. So
Yeah.
that's the best way to put it out there.
Favorite part is when Torrance Howard's like, next time, baby.
Next time, baby, and then he's never seen it again.
Oh my god, that is like the most like fucking funny joke out there.
He looks at the camera too. He's like, next time,
Yep.
baby.
And then that's it.
And then they fired him because he wanted more money than Robert Downey Jr.
Look out! Bruce. Damn.
I've never seen this movie that's coming up next.
500 million movies to go.
What, 25? 26?
No, I think there's more.
Yeah, is it?
I think so, dude. All right, what's the next one?
The Incredible Hulk. 2008's The Incredible Hulk.
Oh no, that's another next time baby situation.
Yes, that's the most next time, baby, because they just never continued that franchise. We've never gotten
It's
another
like-
Hulk.
It's like within the continuity, they try to forget that movie ever existed, but there
Did
are
they?
like callbacks to it.
They
but
reference it a
not
lot.
Like now
Nowadays.
they reference it a lot, but they used to be
get
like,
to that. I feel like we should get to that when we get to that one specific movie where he makes his appearance, because like I'll talk about that when we get there. But
Right.
yeah, they don't do shit with the character.
The Incredible Hulk. I enjoyed it for what it was, which was just a really dumb, fun Incredible Hulk movie. Okay, so I really enjoy the parts where Hulk is like hiding out towards the beginning and this and that, but it's just it's kind of bare bones, you know. The whole love story with Betty Ross is kind of but it has its moments where like it's a fun little superhero movie, but it's definitely forgettable in a way. Compared to like a lot of other MCU movies, this is the one where you're like, oh shit, I forgot they fucking
Yeah.
made that.
I have not seen this movie to this
No?
day. No.
Really?
No.
It's all right. It's definitely not the best, but I don't dislike it as much as other people dislike it. I think Edward Norton did an okay job as Bruce Banner. I think definitely the best parts are the Abomination. And,
the fight.
the fight scenes with like the Incredible Hulk and Abomination. I think that's definitely the best part, but everything else is kind of pretty mid.
For me, I think going to like what this movie is most memorable for is yet again another fucking Burger King commercial.
That's what I was gonna get to.
It's another fucking Burger King commercial where the guy's like, "Oh, I'm the Hulk," and then you just see the Hulk coming in the background and shit. I'm like, Jesus Christ! I don't know. It's such a forgettable movie that the only thing that ties it to the MCU is that post-credit scene
Right.
where Iron Man shows up to Agent Ross, or what the fuck his name was, right? And he's like telling him he's setting up a team or some shit.
Yeah.
And that's like the only indication that it's part of the MCU. I mean, to be fair, they really weren't like connecting these movies for a while. I mean, they did, but they didn't like make it the focal point, which
Right.
later MCUs try so fucking
Right,
hard to like,
exactly.
connect each one. But
I think I think it wasn't until Thor that they were like, okay, let's actually connect this, because until then they were like, are these gonna work together
you
or
could,
something?
like,
or
with these movies, at least the first couple of ones, they're definitely standalone. There's not that many references in terms of like MCU
Yeah.
stuff, but yeah.
so, yeah,
I like the part where what's the guy's name? Stan Lee. He drinks a little bit. Of
that's the one scene I always thought he died, but they never really confirm it, do they?
I don't even know, dude.
I always get because I'm pretty sure I saw this one in like Telemundo or something when I was
No,
like
yeah,
7.
They would play in like
Yeah.
Univision. Well, back when like Univision was a
Univision and
thing.
shit, yeah.
So I get this one confused with the original Hulk movie from like 2003.
It's
I've
so.
never seen that one.
I saw that one in
saw it when I was a
theaters.
kid.
Did you? Okay.
It's so weird because from what people say is that the beginning of the Incredible Hulk starts right where the Hulk ended, which is the
Really?
2003 movie.
Also, they can be connected technically.
So the people were so confused, like, okay, so is this like a sequel? Is
As
this
a
like
kid, I was
its own
confused,
thing? Or,
yeah.
like, what the fuck? Because yeah, usually, like when they reboot movies, they call it like a whole different thing.
It was
this is
just Hulk
went
and
from
then the
to
Incredible Hulk.
Like, oh, so
Yeah.
I guess there's no two.
So how do you guys feel about that movie? Because I've only seen clips of it. I don't know where you guys would
I'll
rank
put it
it.
in C.
I'd say D tier, dude.
D?
Yeah.
I think D only because of the fact.
You haven't even seen the movie.
No, yeah, that's the thing. Because of the fact that nobody really remembers it, nobody goes back to watch it. It's kind of like inessential. Like,
Yeah.
besides a few references in like What If or like Civil War, like
Right.
you don't really need to see
Yeah,
this
you don't
one to
need
catch
see
up.
this. Yeah.
But I haven't seen it, so I can't say.
For that Stan Lee, when he drinks the soda, there's like a funny, like, I don't know if it's a cameo, but there's like a funny reference in like a Lego game where he turns into the Hulk.
Oh really?
Yeah, like he's a playable Hulk.
He gets the power of like 5 different heroes or whatever.
So I don't know if that's a reference to that, but
Could be.
Could be.
it's a low C, bordering on D for me. Honestly.
Let's go for D, man.
D.
High D, I guess.
Hey,
Yes.
I want my board.
All right. So when you have a successful movie, you fucking pump out a sequel like 2 years later.
Gotta follow it up with the next one.
And you gotta follow up those Burger King ads. Those Burger King ads up the ass.
Yeah.
You gotta make the second one not as good as the first one. Iron Man 2.
From 2010?
2010.
2010's Iron Man 2. This was the first Marvel MCU movie I think I saw. I saw it on Netflix, on my iPod, on a road trip, and I remember liking it. But I remember as a kid, like it wasn't enough to get me into Iron Man. Like I was just like, oh, it's a superhero movie. Like it's whatever.
This one's the one, at least for me, where the story was just kind of really not that great.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like the story.
Really, dude?
Yeah.
Oh, shit,
I feel
man.
like they could have really gone into the whole Tony Stark as an alcohol type of thing.
Yeah.
Where his life is just kind of like all over the fucking place.
They had it all set up with Robert Downey Jr.
Right,
playing
like
that
they
role.
could have done something so good with that, but what came across, what they ended up doing was just not something that could have reached its full potential. Plus, I think the villain is trash again. Whiplash. What else was there?
It's Justin Hammer.
Not
Justin Hammer.
Yeah.
He's a fun character, but it's definitely one of those like, and you're gonna see a lot. You're gonna see another one of that type of character in Iron Man 3, where he's just like this
He's a
this
suit.
guy who's against Tony Stark. He's also like a millionaire, and he's like a big money suit type of guy.
Yeah.
So this is the start of that type of villain in these Iron Man movies.
Well, the first one was technically like just another
You're
rich guy
right.
who wanted to have his
but
company.
he had his suit,
That's
an
true.
Ironmonger.
That's true.
But yeah, Iron Man 2. Besides Black Widow is in this. Well, she looks phenomenal.
She has the best Black Widow hair I'll see in this
Dude,
one.
yes. If they were to do like 2010 Iron Man 2 Black Widow again, holy shit, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Besides that, and the whole when they're having a dance battle, well, not a dance battle, but when
It is a
they're
dance
fighting,
battle.
I kind of like that scene.
and when they're fighting and they have the Daft Punk music, I'm
The
like,
Daft
hell yeah,
Punk and
fucking
then
play that shit.
Queen also comes up. I'm like,
Oh
I
yeah,
fucking like that song.
the whole fucking remix. That part was fun. And when Iron Man pisses his pants, is fucking peak MCU.
How would you rate it with the first Iron Man though?
It's worse.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know, cause like I said, this was the first MCU movie I saw, so I didn't know anything about the universe. Like I didn't know anything, so like I just watched it. And I was like, it's cool. I don't really care for Iron Man or like anything that happened, but like it was an enjoyable adventure. 6 or 7 out of 10, I would say.
We're really gonna have a heated gamer moment right here. Do I go next?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you actually liked the first Iron Man, so I imagine this one
So-
you also liked it.
I don't think it's nearly as good as the first one. But what they do with the character, this is
Really?
Yeah.
he. Because keep in mind, the first one he was struggling with trying to keep the shrapnel out of his heart.
Right.
And this one, it plays more into it, right? But it also plays with the ideas of legacy because he's trying to live up to his father's potential. It
Right.
opens up the Stark.
Stark.
Let's call him Spark. It opens up the Stark Expo. I'm sorry, that's
Somebody-
so distracting.
Somebody's taking a leak right next to us.
Iron Man peeing in a suit.
Shit. It's gotta go somewhere. What they do with him, with his father's character, with the legacy aspect of it, I thought that was so good because, in a way, I think Howard Stark is his dad's name.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he mirrors, unironically, Walt Disney in the weirdest of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like parts
I
where it's
definitely.
In
that's
this
what they were
movie, at
going
least, because
for.
he has like his own park and he's like recording those like
like those home movies.
yeah, those home movies. So he does have that sort of vibe about him.
Right. I don't know. The villains suck. I'll say this. The villains suck. But what counts, I think, is like the dynamic between Terrence Howard, quote unquote Terrence Howard as John Rhodey. Yeah, let's talk.
I
about
forget his
that.
name. What's his name?
Don Cheadle.
Don
You know,
Cheadle.
the,
Yeah.
the most like funny shit ever. He gets fucking replaced.
Right.
Don Cheadle just shows up like nothing.
Yeah, he's literally in the first fucking like scene of the movie.
Well, the first scene he's in, he was like, "I'm here.
Oh yeah.
Don't
He's
with it.
yeah,
Like,
we're
we're not
bros,
talking
right,
about
Iron
it."
Man?
Yeah.
Yeah. The camera wink. We're buddies and shit. But I like it a lot. I'm really geeky when it comes to like filmmaking and stuff like shit like that. And the final scene when they find all the hammer bots and shit. I don't know if you guys know who Gendy Tartakovsky is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Samurai Jack guy of fame. He I don't say he scripted, but he like drew the concept art for that.
Oh,
You know
So
what?
he-
That makes a lot of sense actually now.
Yeah, and I think for me that's just like mind-boggling and shit. I only found that out fairly recently, but it's not as strong as Iron Man 1.
Correct.
I think the story is a little bit hit and miss at times, but the dynamic between him and Rhodey, the dynamic between him and Pepper, the connection to the MCU, obviously with Nick Fury, Black Widow,
I forgot Nick Fury was in the movie.
and overall it's a solid sequel. It's not perfect, but where it counts is a character, what it's setting up, and what he's trying to live up to. And I think
Right.
that's perfect. So for me, it's gonna be a B.
I would put this one as a C. Yeah, I think a C is
Yeah.
where I would put it because it's not bad.
Two
It's-
against one.
it's
Two
not-
against one.
two against one.
We're gonna see a lot of opposition here.
Right.
folks. That's fine. I feel like at times it is a high C, but there are parts that just bring it up to a B for me. I don't think it's nearly as good as the first one. I think the first one is just great. This one has, I guess, the phrase "too many cooks in the kitchen."
Right.
There's a lot going on, so it doesn't always work. But yeah, I say probably C would be the best to put it.
I can't quite seem to hit the Loki.
Speaking of Thor,
Speaking of him,
God.
he's up
Oh boy.
in 2011's Thor, the God of Thunder.
Thor, the OG, the original Thor, was boring.
I think that's gonna be everyone's opinion.
Controversial opinion. I said that last time we recorded this. I kind of like it. I like it because of Tom Hiddleston. Like I
No,
like.
yeah, that's definitely one of the best. I feel like Tom Hiddleston was like
he steals the
giving
movie.
it his
He really
all.
does.
He steals the movie, and I feel like Chris Hemsworth is just there, like I'm stoic.
Right.
Like, come on, bro, do something cool, you know?
Yeah, like his scenes are just like a really interesting like family drama where like
Right.
Odin, he just like kidnapped him as a baby, and then like when Loki does eventually find out, he's like, why the fuck did you like do all this? And then Odin's like, I'm gonna go to sleep. And then like but Odin, like Loki's still like trying to like talk, and he's like, what the fuck did you do? Like he's crying and he's just like acting the shit out of it. And then you come back to Thor, and he's doing his little
Having his
adventure.
little adventure.
Yeah. So I think for me, Loki is what mostly sells this movie.
Yeah,
I
Loki-
don't think there's anybody bad in it or anything like that.
No.
I just think the actual character
I
of
think
Thor
the
is just
secondary
like,
characters are fucking garbage.
actually that's true. That's true. Actually, I forgot about the C team.
Natalie Portman is the worst. I feel like she sucks in this movie.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
What's her name? The one that appears in WandaVision?
Oh, God.
Kat
I
Dennings?
think she's so annoying.
Really?
Yes, I think she's so fucking annoying.
I think she was better in WandaVision, but in this one,
I
yeah.
think she was better in WandaVision. I just think
I
she's-
enjoyed her for some reasons. I'm not gonna go into specifics, but
No, I enjoyed her in WandaVision for those reasons, but not in this one. She just came off as annoying.
I'll say this: I used to be a lot more annoyed by the side characters when I first watched this, like now, whenever I just put it back on, I'm like, oh, it's these guys. Like we're gonna see them in future movies, so like I'm used to these characters.
It's like for the first Thor, they're like, oh, we start the movie off in what's the world called?
Asgard.
Asgard. And you're like, oh shit, we're gonna have like a.
It looks like shit. It looks like shit.
It's just like I said, everything. Well, a lot of the aspects in that movie is just kind of like boring. It just kind of looks boring.
It looks like a Star Wars world where it's just all CGI.
It's like, all right, we're gonna spend time in Asgard, right? And then like, nope, fucking go to Earth. All right, here we go on Earth again. You know, you would think like there's already been 3 movies in the MCU is like set on Earth.
Right.
You'd be like, all right, we're probably gonna spend time in Asgard. Like, nope,
not
go to
quite,
Earth, bitch.
But it does lead to the introduction of one of the best Avengers, the Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye.
I forgot he was in this movie.
Yeah, he's there for like a fucking minute.
He's like, "Hi guys." Okay.
Should I take the shot? No. Okay, I'm just gonna leave the scene then.
Right. Oh, that's so funny. I forgot that was his introduction.
Yeah.
At least for me, this is worse than Hulk for me.
Worse than Hulk?
It's just because I think it's so fucking boring, and I cannot sit through this movie, watch it again. I cannot.
It's not an E and F tier, but it's definitely behind Hulk. I'll say.
Yeah.
Behind Hulk, yeah.
If it wasn't for like Loki, I don't know if I would really care about Thor being in Avengers. Honestly,
I was gonna say either C or D tier, but the more I think about it, like it's Loki selling that movie. Yeah. I think Chris Hemsworth is good, like not bad, but like he does the job.
I mean, forgettable.
He's
trying to play a serious character like with Shakespearean lines and that, and I think they just did a lot better in Ragnarok, where they're just like, let's just turn this character around.
See, we'll talk.
We'll get to that. I know it's a controversial
Ragnarok.
opinion, but it just wasn't working what they were originally trying to do.
I felt it could work, and it has worked in other movies. Look no further than Lord of the Rings. All that movie is fucking Shakespearean how they talk.
Right. Yes.
Very old timey, ye type talking and shit. So
yeah. And that's what I mean by like I wanted it to be more set on Asgard and have like those like Shakespearean themes and stuff, but
he has more of a character, and I feel like he's fleshed out more in the first Avengers. I feel.
Spangled banner, yeah.
I really like him.
I enjoy Captain America so much.
It feels unique. That's what's special about it.
I love well, I don't know if the story is great, but the chemistry between Captain America and Peggy Carter I think is phenomenal. Like I love how they build their relationship, and how at least for me, I see this more as like a romantic love story, more than like a World War II type of film.
The thing is that you buy them like falling in love with each other.
Like you buy their chemistry, and like they're at least for me, they're the best couple in the MCU. Yeah. Hands down, at least for me.
At least off the top of my head, yeah.
Right.
It doesn't feel like, oh, it's just two pretty people that saw each other and they think they're hot. Like it does feel like, skinny Steve Rogers started out as like just a kid, and like, they started talking and
totally Chris Evans.
yeah, totally him. But like you buy that they like, just started like building up like a friendship type of thing, and then it just became like something else, and then tragically they never get a chance to like kiss or anything because he dies a virgin, or we think he dies a virgin before we find out he froze for like 70 years or however. But yeah, like it has its issues, of course. Like
it's not a perfect movie.
You can't make like a time period movie like about a superhero wearing a flag, throwing a shield, and like.
See, I feel it works as a time period because it's very reflective, not only in how it looks, but like how you're talking about the montages. That's very like propaganda war films.
Right.
They're usually, this is happening in this part of the world, and that's how you sort of feel it and shit. They wasted a villain here.
Yeah, Red Skull.
They really did. Good actor, but they just. Yeah,
they could have definitely done a lot more with Red Skull, and what they actually ended up giving him, and how he dies, just like he just fucking evaporates to
dies.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
I think they were planning on bringing him back, which they did, but like I think they wanted to use like him again for something properly, but whoever the actor is, Hugo Weaving, I think he just said like, I didn't really like it.
I think it was a scheduling thing because he was doing opera or some shit, and he's like, "Yeah, man, unless you could work around my schedule." That's why he wasn't in Matrix, the new one. He's
Okay.
like, unless you could work around my schedule, I don't
Actually,
wanna do these
I
movies."
heard that he wasn't even like asked to be in the new
Really?
Matrix. Yeah, as well as
Morpheus?
Wasn't Lawrence Fishburne?
Yeah.
Is that fucking his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard he
think-
wasn't even asked to be in the fucking movie.
No, I think Lawrence Fishburne's character.
Oh,
Morbius
well,
is-
Because he dies, right? In the
like, but like here's my thing. Like,
Yeah.
if you have the actors,
Bring him back.
Matrix 4 was garbage. I don't give a fuck. It was garbage. It was so.
I've only seen the first Matrix. I don't know.
I've been like in a whole like Matrix sort of like
Binge.
yeah.
It's an interesting universe.
I have my opinions on Matrix 4. But this is not a Matrix 4 series. This is not a Matrix series. Let's just say
Coming soon, Matrix conversation.
there's aspects of the movie that I like, but Captain America, the first one, the first Avenger, I think it's really fun. It's campy. I love it. It's just like you put that movie on, you feel good. You're like, hell yeah, you know, Captain America, he rocks.
All right, until you get to the end, and he's like,
Can I say this is one of the better Marvel movies at setting up like a future sequel? Because I didn't know about the Winter Soldier or anything like that.
Right.
And I spoiled it for myself when the movie was coming out, when I was like, oh, who's the Winter Soldier? And they just tell you like, oh, it's Bucky. And I'm like, oh.
And I feel
ruins it.
like with the MCU references, it does it naturally to where it's like so like the whole Winter Soldier thing that, you know, it just so happens to fall and die. The audience, well, except for comic book readers, they don't know what's going to happen with that character.
Yeah.
As well as like the Nick Fury thing when he wakes up and he's in New York and Nick Fury's there.
Yeah.
And he's like, I had a date and stuff like that. It's not, I don't feel like the MCU, like future references are forced in there. Like in Thor, where it's just Hawkeye, like, all right, it's me, Hawkeye.
yeah, no, that
I feel like the references to the MCU are a
isn't the
little more
Infinity
natural.
Gauntlet in the first Thor? Like a
Yeah.
little background product. Of the
Oh, and Thor, yeah.
yeah, I remember briefly seeing that.
But it was like the right-handed, wasn't it? It was like a right-handed.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people nowadays say that they kind of just put the gauntlet in there to be like, is this gonna like? They're just kind of like putting Easter eggs in there just to see like what fans notice and be like, oh, like people notice the Infinity Gauntlet, so like, let's kind of like look into that. But it is the right hand instead of the
Right,
left hander or
instead of
something like
This
that.
is technically the first introduction of an Infinity Stone, right?
Yes, it is actually
Yeah.
So
with the Tesseract.
I guess quintessential viewing if you want to kind of get the whole big picture.
It
stuff.
is. I've seen a lot of like, oh, these are necessary movies before you like see like this one, whichever one's like about to come out.
Yeah.
And I usually see this one because it doesn't include the Infinity Stone.
I'd say A tier.
A tier.
I personally like this more than Iron Man.
I like this one a lot more than Iron Man. How do you feel? Where would you feel?
It's because they waste a good villain, and
Yeah.
Red Skull is such an important.
Iron Man wasted
Yeah.
a villain too.
That's the thing, though. But with Iron Man, though, like his story, I don't know. I like Cat's story, but at times Chris Evans' acting could be a bit flat for me. Where Robert Downey Jr.
I would.
He's charismatic. Robert Downey
Right.
Jr. is just charismatic as
Yeah,
fuck.
if you
Yeah.
compare RDJ with Chris Evans, definitely Robert Downey has more charisma, even if he's not trying.
Yeah.
Chris
Yeah.
Evans just kind of, he's better than Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, okay. Anyone really?
But there are points where Chris Evans can come off as a bit like bland
Yeah.
in terms of his acting.
I love Chris Evans. I don't know what you.
But no, as a person, he's awesome. But
Well, like, yeah, I don't know.
He's not my Buzz Lightyear. Most people don't know this, but the guy who voices Joe, Patrick Warburton, was the original voice of Buzz Lightyear in the old
yeah,
cartoon.
he was in the cartoon.
And the fact that they never
yeah.
put that on Disney Plus because they want to have this new Lightyear is a disgrace.
I'm sure they're gonna put it on eventually, but I
Man,
love that.
shit has not been on Disney Plus in the time that it's been out. I'm like, really?
Yeah, right now would be like the perfect time to put that
Right.
on Disney Plus, but I guess.
There we go. Iron Man has been dethroned.
No.
All right, what's next?
The one that started it all. Well,
The-
I say started it all, but the
Right.
first conclusion.
The one that brought them all
First
together.
crossover.
Yeah, the first crossover
Avengers.
event. Marvel's The Avengers. 2011.
Wasn't it called Avengers Assemble in like other countries?
Yeah, in like
That was
Europe or
weird.
whatever.
Yeah, I think it was. Even though they never say that line.
movies always have like this weird like naming thing. It's just
Right.
like I don't know.
I guess it might have been like a copyright. this type of
The way I know it is that in like England there was like an old British show about spies, and they were called the Avengers.
And then there's like a movie about it too.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, we can't have people getting confused with those, so let's Avengers Assemble. Can't have them mix it up then.
All right, Avengers 1.
That's solid.
Fun movie. A little cheesy and corny at points.
Very Joss Whedon-y.
Yeah, I don't like how it's shot.
Really?
Me and Hector have a thing where like this is shot like a TV show.
That's one thing. Even back in 2011, as I was watching in movie theaters, I was like, this looks kind of
doesn't look cinematic.
Like once they do like their actual like big money shots, like that's when it looks expensive.
You have to understand for like these movies, like I didn't know this for MC movies. They gotta sick because I think it's like the first movie to really have like an ensemble cast like that.
Yeah.
So they gotta kind of cut corners. So I could see what you're talking about. Like some of the scenes are not as well shot, but that one scene where the Hulk's like kind of going like about to go crazy, where he's holding the Tesseract, or not Tesseract, the scepter. That scene was like shot really intensely. Like he's like, what if I go crazy? What if I go crazy? I don't know. That just scene was just shot so great and shit.
I guess for me it comes down to like a lot of the lighting. I think it's a little too.
Yeah, I don't think that was a Marvel problem specifically. I've just seen like a few Joss Whedon stuff now, like Dr. Horrible's whatever musical show. Like I've just seen a few other things where like I noticed the way he films stuff and just the lighting is soft or just something about it. It just feels like not movie quality or whatever. But like with that said, this was the first movie so I saw Iron Man 2 like on my iPod or whatever. This was the first one I saw in theaters. And this one I really liked.
Same.
Like I had like no idea who Captain America or Thor or like I'd seen probably like
the only one I knew
two.
was Hulk.
Yeah, like Hulk is the one everybody knows, but like nobody knew who the Avengers were back then, and like I just watched it. It was fun. I didn't necessarily get excited for a sequel or anything like that. But it was fun seeing like all the heroes like being brought together and being like, yeah, we're gonna fucking punch some guys or whatever.
Yeah, nobody knew who Thanos was.
Yeah.
No.
I was like, what the fuck is that?
No.
And he looked weird as fuck in that movie.
He did, dude.
He looked like reddish.
he looked like, because at least Thanos now he's like all CG and stuff like that. But for some reason, it looks like they just put like makeup.
It was practical. I remember.
Practical. I think it was because it looked weirdly too human.
Like that ugly ass smile.
Right, a little fucking smirk. All right, Avengers. I think it's fun. It's not my favorite.
It's B tier.
I think it's worse. Not as good as Iron Man 1.
It's a good popcorn movie, but I remember whenever I try to show it to my family or whatever, they watched it once and then they just never wanted to see it again.
Like Avengers, I don't know. Oh, I hate Captain America's costume so fucking much.
I think this is the worst Captain America movie.
This is the worst Captain America costume. I hate it. He looks like a fucking doofus.
I think it's the helmet. It just looks too
the
big.
helmet is kind of okay. I'll say that.
It just looks like a dork, dude. Loki was fine.
Loki was fine. He was great. He was a great villain.
I don't know. I feel like Loki was okay in this one. I feel like he definitely improves upon the character.
Well, he was more of a villain in this one because he was like ripping people's eyeballs or whatever. Right. In the first Thor, like you saw the complexity of him, like being like, I'm adopted, but like I still like care for these people or whatever. This one, he's just straight up a bad guy. He's like, I want to take over Earth and I'm taking down my brother Thor or whatever. But it does the job. Like it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think he's a little, and it's controversial. I think Loki in this movie is a little one note.
Really?
If you know what I feel like, I'm just gonna be the bad guy, you know? Like, I wish there was more reason to why he wanted to like invade Earth.
I have to cut you off because like, if you go watch an Infinity War, right? Mm-hmm. In that first scene with him and Loki and Thor,
right?
It's so great because you come to realize he's like, oh my god, I was working for this psychopath, right? And he's like, Jesus Christ, I wanted to be one of these, right? Because I think at one point he was gonna be a children of Thanos, but then they just kind of said no, and he's now a hero, briefly, but
something.
Keep in mind, at the time he was like outcast from Asgard and shit, and he becomes this villain and shit. So his like, just what they're playing him as or what they're trying to get him to in that movie, I think it works exceptionally well.
Right.
But you're right. At times it's a bit flat, some of his line delivery, but he's more comedic in this movie as a villain. Mm-hmm. And for the longest in the MCU, I think he was the most convincing, most intriguing villain in the
Yeah,
MCU.
he's at that point. He was definitely one of the best villains. But even then, I feel like Marvel needed to step up their villain game up, and they still haven't.
For a while, they could not, man. I think until like Homecoming.
Yeah, right.
And then they ruined that villain with Morbius, but that's a whole other.
So what do you
thing.
guys think? I'm fine with B tier. I'm cool with B tier.
I think it's a B tier because, like you said, problems aside, like I did not know anything about like these heroes or this universe when I walked into the movie theater, but like I got the gist of it as I was watching it. I do have problems with like all the Joss Whedon stuff, but I think that's just him. Like I don't enjoy his work, putting aside all his personal stuff, how he is in real life. But just like his actual movies and stuff, like they're all right. Like this is passable. I have a lot more to say about Age of Ultron, but like I think this was a good way to like bring everybody together and kind of wrap up whatever. The first phase, whatever they were trying to do with all that. But yeah,
it's fine.
What did we agree on? B or
We
C?
said
A, B. Our first B of the night.
Now we're moving on to phase 2.
Phase 2.
Phase 2.
Phase 1.
Let me just check the audio.
So what do we think about overall for Phase 1?
Overall, Phase 1, I think it's aged the most out of all the phases. I don't know how to word it.
I feel like the first 3 movies were, I don't know.
They're like test pilots.
They were just starting to get the thing rolling.
Yeah, exactly. They're like that first season of that one show that became like really popular.
Phase 2 stumbles.
You think so?
I'll have something to say about Iron Man 3 and Thor 2, man.
Thinking back, there were a lot of things that I didn't hate the movies, but I definitely did have a few problems with them, but not as much as I do nowadays with the way they're going.
When I think of Phase 2, I think of like the really fucking good movies.
I think of the good stuff first, but then I think
I'm like, now that you're saying, I'm like, man, there's a lot of garbage in there.
Because it started with Iron Man 3 and then Thor.
Phase?
Nah, there's still 6 movies. You're forgetting Ant-Man.
Skip it up and down.
But what's the first one? Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3, what I think Iron Man 3 is the third Iron Man movie, and that's my opinion.
I'm a big Iron Man fan, but this is like, oh my god, what the fuck did you do? The villain, which doesn't even make any sense, what they're setting up the villain. It's so stupid. They should have just done AIM. The character, he's okay, but he's also kind of annoying as fuck in this movie because he has this whole PTSD thing. I'm like, I don't buy the whole PTSD thing for him. Just Iron Man 3 sucks.
Iron Man 3. Okay, you guys gonna hate me. Iron Man 3 is my favorite of the Iron Man
Your
movies.
favorite? Oh my goodness.
But that doesn't mean a lot because I think Iron Man 1 was fine.
I was gonna say.
Look, Iron Man 3, I enjoy it just because I feel like I just went in the movie theater. I'm like, all right, let's watch Iron Man 3.
That's how I went in,
and
yeah.
I'm just like, it was all right. And I mind you, I'm not a comic book reader. So the thing that they did with the Mandarin was like, all right, yeah, sure.
That's
you want to make him an actor? Fuck it, I don't give a fuck.
That's one thing I think a lot of people they either love it or they just don't care.
But
sorry, they either hate it or they just don't care.
I do understand where the fans are coming from because he's like literally, he's like the Joker to the Iron Man villain.
Yeah,
right.
He is.
And the fact that they would waste the Mandarin just like that, I understand why people were pissed off. And then the way they do it is like super jokey, like he's just the actor. The real villain is another business suit guy.
I feel like this movie has no stakes. Like it pretends that it has stakes. You got Happy getting hurt, Pepper getting kidnapped.
Oh yeah.
And there's no stakes in this movie. Everything that's like set up in this movie almost feels like, okay, we have like 25 to 30 minutes left. We gotta wrap this shit up. It feels like a nothing movie for a long period of time. They do some things with the character, but I just don't like how in this movie kind of acts like a little bitch. Like, why are you telling where to find you? Where are you telling these guys where to find you? And at this point,
right, that's what I understand. Like, oh, this is my address. Fucking come and kill me.
And here's the thing that kind of irritates me about these movies: they already set up the Avengers. why the fuck would you mess with an Avenger? Like, that is just, like, really? They took down aliens? Like
what the fuck? This is literally just a terrorist.
Right, like, come on now. Like, it was just so silly and stupid, and I guess, like, it's cool. Like, the last action sequence is pretty decent, but, like, outside of that, the story is so fucking weak. The character is weak. I actually don't like this movie. I think, for me, it's like a EF tier. It's one of the worst ones, bro.
Oof. Very controversial.
This is one of those movies where I'm like,
you know, I'm
I
kind
don't
of
care where you place it. It's fine. It's
I'm kind of on the same boat as Diego, because so yeah, this was the next movie after Avengers. So I saw this one in theaters.
I did see this one in theaters.
Yeah, and
I love how it starts with fucking Blue, the song, the Blue that
yeah. Yeah, I just didn't have any expectations for this movie, because like I watched the first Avengers. I didn't know anything about Iron Man or like anything, so like I didn't care about the Mandarin. I did think it was a weird twist just like halfway through the movie, how he just starts singing like ole 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 and then he just like, at that point in the movie I was like, where's this going? And then like you get to the end, and then the other guy is like, no, I am the Mandarin. But like you said, it doesn't really feel like it has urgency. But I also feel like they just sort of like go from like one scene to another, so you don't really think of that as you're watching it. So I remember enjoying it. But I also do get like what you said. He, like, the Mandarin is Iron Man's Joker. Like, I do understand why people had that big reaction when like you're taking. Like, Iron Man already doesn't have a lot of villains. You're taking, like, the main one.
Literally the fucking main
and you
one.
just, like, push them off to the corner. So, like, what the fuck? So, for me, like, I'm on the same boat. I don't really care where this one lands on the ranking list. For me, it's just, like, another one of the movies. I like the suit the best. Like, I like how golden it is.
I think of, like, two scenes that are memorable. But the end scene, I really like the last fighting scene, the big action one. And I really like the part where the Iron Patriot is like being taken over by
when they're in the airplane.
Yeah, when they're in the airplane. I really like that scene.
That's a good scene.
That's the best scene in the entire movie, in my opinion, is when he actually has to save all of them.
Right.
That's such a badass moment.
And they did that in real life too. Like, they, at least when they're falling out of the airplane,
Yeah.
they had real skydivers and they like caught them all and they're like, whatever. Marvel would never do that nowadays, where they send people outside.
But you know what's funny?
Like, oh yeah, we have to go outside to film this.
Right.
Fuck.
You know the funniest thing is, it's actually cheaper to do that than it is in CG. CG is expensive, and they don't care because like you got to pump money to make these movies out every year.
Right.
So.
It's just faster for them.
Yeah.
Like I said, I really don't care what this movie. C or D, whatever you want to put it in. Let's be in the middle, D. How about that?
Fuck it, might as well make it the D. That one's just straight up fucking boring.
What?
Thor?
Well,
I hate Thor.
wait until you get to the next movie.
No, we're getting into Thor 2, Dark World, which fucking sucks. Again,
This one I've only seen once.
Again, you put Thor 2, I will not watch that shit again. It's so fucking boring. Do not remember anything about it. The Dark Elves were fucking trash. And
All I
boring.
remember was Loki dies? Kinda?
Oh,
Kinda,
he
yeah.
fake dies.
He takes over Odin in the throne.
What happens in this movie? Like,
It has to do with another Infinity Stone. The
What,
reality?
Ether?
Was it reality? The reality?
Yeah, the red one.
It's inside Jane Foster. They kill the mom. The annoying characters are back. I think he's naked at one point, no?
The professor, yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot happens in this movie, like lore-wise into the universe. Like, they find an Infinity Stone, Loki dies, takes over Asgard, but yet like it just has no impact on the universe still.
You know what I remember of the fucking shitty post-credit scene? Where it's literally just Thor coming back to Earth to kiss Jane Foster,
yeah.
And the movie cuts to black. It's like,
no, there
what the fuck was that supposed
There's
to
a great credit scene where
No, there is another one, yeah, with the Guardians.
where it introduces the Collector.
Oh yeah, no, that one's good. I'm talking about the fucking shitty one. With
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it's literally the last one. Like, where fucking Thor just goes to Earth and kisses Jane Foster.
The only reason I know about that credit scene is because one of the trivias is that they couldn't get what's her name?
Who?
Padme.
Natalie Portman?
Yeah, they couldn't get her back for the post-credit scene, so they just got Chris Hemsworth's
Stunt double?
no, his wife. So he just kisses his
really?
actual wife.
No
Yeah.
fucking way.
So I think that's kind of cute.
Didn't she not want to be part of MCU after that?
Yeah.
Like, she like left, and then I don't know what the fuck they did to convince her to come back, but
I'm pretty sure after
she got billed. She got billed.
I'm pretty sure she was done after the first one. I don't know how they got her back for the second one.
Contractual shit.
Yeah,
Right.
third one she just dipped out of there.
It's like I'm getting the fuck out.
But then they gave her another $1 million, so she came back.
All right, this movie sucks.
Yeah.
Let's rate it. Get to the fucking good
I don't have
shit.
anything to say about this one.
E?
Shit.
E for everyone?
Let's
put an E for everyone. F.
Yeah, fuck it. Put it in F. That shit's garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
or was it Guardians?
No, I think Guardians was
it's
after.
Winter Soldier. Hands
First,
down.
S tier?
Captain America tier?
S tier?
Captain America tier? That's how good it is. He needs
Yeah,
his own tier.
it's its own tier shit.
Hands down the best Marvel movie.
It's so good, dude.
Only thing that sucks is the CG.
I don't remember the CG being bad.
Well,
CG is
there's
bad.
not a lot of it's well, at least not that I remember, because it's mostly just like guys running around
Right.
with
The
shields.
assault at the Shield building? Ooh, some of it's
I
rough.
need to rewatch it.
I gotta
it's
rewatch it. Yeah,
rough.
But I remember this movie being
S tier.
it's so good.
this is the one that got me into the MCU because I had seen Avengers and Iron Man 3 in the theaters. I had not seen anything like that came out beforehand. Like I never had the urge to like go back and see the rest of the movies. But with this one, for some reason, I went to go watch it in theaters with my family. I don't know how I convinced them because, you know, we're Mexican. We don't care about Captain America. But it was just a fucking damn good movie. And then the Winter Soldier, I think he is the best villain we've gotten.
Winter Soldier as a villain is so good. Winter Soldier as Captain America's friend,
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really buy the relationship.
Yeah, it's kind of really not that great.
They
But
force it a lot in Civil War. And
yeah,
it's
they
like,
do.
I just think they didn't spend enough time in the first Captain America because, like, I completely forgot about Bucky, like,
Right.
the first time I was watching it. It was only, like, after the Winter Soldier that I went back and I was like, oh, he did have a friend that was kind of with him, like, in the beginning of the movie. But, like, just the fact that they don't spend too much time together in the first one, I think it hurts this one because they don't have, like, you know, that history or, like, that
Even
chemistry
then,
that we've seen.
The way, just the way Sebastian Stan just plays the Winter Soldier, I feel like Sebastian Stan plays a better villain than an actual like
Yeah.
good friend or whatever the fuck he
Yeah.
was. In
like, I
any
don't
of the
really
other
buy him as
movies.
an Avenger. you know?
Right. He's kind of one of the weaker ones, but him as a villain, he was just badass as the Winter Soldier, dude.
He was so fucking
This
cool.
this movie, not only is this a great MCU movie and a great superhero movie, but it's just a great blockbuster in general.
Yeah.
Like this is amongst one of the best blockbusters to come out during that decade.
That twist of Shield being Hydra, I think that's like they haven't been able to replicate anything like that in the MCU. Nothing that surprises the audience or that you know,
Just wait till we get to the scrolls.
or you know, nothing that feels that suspenseful because I remember the scene where Nick Fury has his like car chase like across whatever they're at. That's the only like car chase I've ever seen in a movie where like I actually feel the suspense because he's just going out for a drive. He waves to the cops or whatever, and then all of a sudden they just like fucking corner him and they just like start smashing him. I'm like, oh fuck, like
That was
what's
one
going
of the
on?
best action scenes in the MCU, I think.
Yeah,
It's just so crazy.
Like I can't say enough positive things about this movie. Like I can just keep talking about it for like
Right.
2 hours.
Sam Wilson is really good. Black Widow is really fucking good in this movie.
Yeah,
She has like an actual character.
Yes,
this
dude. Like they actually develop her character, but I feel like they never really. I feel like this was peak Black Widow for me.
yeah.
The thing is, I feel like Black Widow works as a character when she's mysterious. We don't need to know.
Right. You don't need to know.
We don't need to
everything
know
about it.
shit about her. And I feel
Right.
like when we'll get to Black Widow, when we get to Black Widow, but yeah, man, just overall phenomenal. S tier,
Yeah,
S tier. What
I buy her
S tier.
relationship with Chris Evans too. I kind of wish they hooked up, but they didn't. They teased
They
it.
kind of,
but,
you know what? I feel like in Infinity War when they go like on the run, I feel like there was something that
so.
might have happened there. But like, I feel like,
Oh, she's kind of a whore. She's been with like all the Avengers, dude.
well, in Age of Ultron, when she's flirting with Hulk,
She's flirted with Robert Downey, Tony Stark and Iron Man 2.
That's
She's
true.
Been with Hulk. Been with Kiss Captain America.
Fucking
but in Age of Ultron, Chris Evans is like, I've seen her flirt up close or whatever, and then Hulk's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, oh yeah, she's
What the fuck do you mean? S
yeah,
tier.
S tier,
Fucking
yeah.
S tier,
I can keep talking about this movie forever, but I just love it.
Oh yeah, Mr. Krabs.
Probably my favorite MCU movie.
I'll challenge you for the sequel. I'll challenge you for the sequel.
I really didn't like the sequel.
Oh no!
We really have strong feelings about the sequel.
See,
Guardians 1.
it's an A tier for me.
It's an S tier for me. Dude.
I think
I
it's-
love Guardians.
I
1.
love this first one,
Uh-huh.
but man, the sequel just gets me in every way, man. It's just phenomenal.
This first one, I mean, I think for me, I just had really high hopes for the second one. It just didn't reach them. This first one came out of nowhere.
I saw the trailer when I saw Captain America, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It looks like Star Wars.
Right. It's like, it was. I remember when I saw the trailer, I was taking a shit in my fucking room. And I was like, what's this weird song playing?
Taking a
Where are
shit
these, where are these characters? But
Why is there a raccoon in the
Right.
tree? What the fuck
But-
is this?
dude, it was like when I think of like influential movies,
Yeah.
at least with whatever influences me, and I guess just pop culture in general.
It is a really influential movie. The movies were like they're trying to set up teams. This really was like the one that
Right.
started that type of like genre and shit.
I
Solo
love
mirrors that in a weird way.
I love Guardians. I love the characters. The only thing I don't really love is the villain.
That's what you'll come to
Right.
find out about.
But I think this movie is the whole point of this movie is just to center on these like these misfits and how they all have like issues and problems within their own like stories, and for them to just come together and build like this bond, this family. I love this movie, dude. I love it. And not only that, it's the funniest MCU movie. It's so, I hate using quirky, but it's quirky at points. And that fucking music is, the soundtrack is so fucking good for this. They use the music so fucking well.
Yeah.
Like, usually when movies use soundtracks, when they're all like, here's this nostalgic song, or here's this really poppy song. Like,
I
remember
think-
this?
Suicide Squad is the worst
Right.
example of that.
That's something that started because of this movie. Because
Right.
you got like music in movies like you used to
like,
get it
you-
before.
You had like a song or two.
I mean, you had like Tarantino is like the most well known for using music.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's Tarantino. That's a
Uh-huh.
movie. We're not talking about blockbuster type of
It
stuff.
wasn't something that you saw like in every movie where they just like needed to have like 15 different songs like spread out throughout the movie, being like, oh, like you like music, right? And then, but like this one, like it brought the music into the story. It was just like,
It's so feel good too. It's such a feel good movie.
Yeah.
it's such a good movie.
I love this movie. I like Captain America too, but I love this one more. I love this movie.
They're just so different.
Yeah,
like,
they're very different
They're very
movies.
different parts of the universe.
But like I think of like what type of movie would I like to make? I think I would fucking love to make Guardians.
I mean, just the way like it's shot, like there's color in the movie.
Right.
Like,
It's like one of the only fucking MCU movies with actual fucking good color in it.
it's just,
Color grading, because the other shit looks all gray.
and I can't say there's like any bad actors in this one, or like any characters where I'm like, I didn't really like the main villain. Yeah, the main villain. But he's just like not in the movie. Like that's the thing. Like they
Well, it
just
doesn't really focus on him. He's
Right.
sort of like something they have to get out
Right.
of
Yeah.
the way. So
Definitely the main focus is on the Guardians.
I love this movie, but the sequel, man, it just does things like. I'll get to it. We get to it.
we'll get to it eventually.
Alright. I think S tier.
I think so too.
It's a low S tier. It's good, but not as good. It's not the best MCU.
You wouldn't put it over the Winter Soldier?
Guardians 2. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Would you put it over the
we're
Winter
gonna-
Soldier?
I would.
Yeah, I'll put it over Winter Soldier.
I would
for
put it
sure.
over Winter
Okay.
Soldier.
It's an interesting movie. I'll say that much.
Yes. Kind of going back to what I said about Iron Man 2, where it was setting up a lot, and I feel like that's something that kind of makes us look at it differently.
That was the worst of Joss Whedon in this entire franchise. It was just
Yes.
like needless punchline. It's like, all right, dude, like
Not only needless punchlines, but I feel like there's so many things just going on throughout the movie, like setting up the next phase, that it does lose
It
focus.
loses its focus.
And more than anything, I think Ultron is just
he's kind of annoying in this movie.
he's
I did
not
like him.
he's not good. He's too much like Iron Man, I think.
Yeah, well, that was the point.
Yeah.
But the idea is like Ultron is like this psychotic person. I mean, you get some of that, but it's like it's almost kind of gets thrown out the way where it's like we have to have this cool epic Vision fight. It's like, oh man,
I think this is the most OP Vision's been.
yeah.
He's what else has he done? He was just in Civil
Nothing.
War, and then he got killed.
He puts a line in Civil War. Yeah.
Yeah, I had several things to say about it, but
okay. Here are things I like about Age of Ultron. The development of Hawkeye. This is the best Hawkeye's
like a
ever
mentor in
been.
this movie.
Right.
Yeah,
I'd say Hawkeye is one of the best characters in this movie.
Well, this is his second appearance, but because before this, he only had his 5 minutes in the first Avengers.
But yeah, Hawkeye was really good. I think Wanda was. I think
she was really good in this.
I think the brothers, the
twins.
siblings, the twins, whatever the fuck you want to call them. I think they're good. I think they're good. I just don't like Pietro as much, just simply because
he got overshadowed.
I guess.
They wasted him, and I wish they did something with him.
Right, and it's like the only reason why he was put in this fucking story was just because they didn't want to kill off a main Avenger and they wanted to kill someone out. But
they were more Disney was being petty because Fox. I don't know who owns what at that point. But there was like this fight between who owns non-mutant Quicksilver and mutant Quicksilver. So Mom was like, "We're gonna throw this character out there to coincide with like things Days of Future Past and shit, just to be petty." So
that's the thing. Originally, the twins are the kids of Magneto. So,
which they could still do.
Well,
no, they have the last name Maximoff. I think Magneto's different, has like a different name.
Well, that's always been different in the
comic.
comic.
Watch them find a way to fucking connect it.
Yeah, but for me, like both of them, they're mostly mutants. They're more X-Men than Avengers. But the thing was at the time was that they were like one of the founding members of the Avengers, so they technically, legally, could be filed under both. So I think this Quicksilver, he's fine. Like,
it's fine.
He comes in, he does the job. Like, he has his little like, bet you didn't see that coming. Like, he has his cute moments, whatever. But he is just overshadowed so much by the other Quicksilver that it just makes him look like, who cares?
What was the actor's name? I forget his name.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, our new Kraven the Hunter.
Is he the Kraven?
Yeah, he is.
Oh my god. He wouldn't reprise his role for Avengers, but he'll come back for that?
Yeah.
It's an enjoyable, it's a blockbuster.
Yeah, it's really the definition of just a fucking dumb, stupid blockbuster that does not make any sense. Because why would you destroy Earth by throwing a rock at it, dude?
Honestly, I remember being a lot more frustrated.
A nuke type of thing or some shit?
Well, that's what he tried to do. He tried to shoot the nukes, but then Vision was blocking the nukes, so his solution was to throw a big rock at the Earth.
I like how the new Avengers are at the end, and they never use them.
They never use them.
Or they used them once, and then...
They never used that lineup, at least.
Right.
But yeah. Before Iron Man 2, or what did we say on it?
I like a little bit more than Iron Man 2.
Rhodey's in this, right?
For like the end.
For the final 5 minutes.
He just shows up randomly.
He's in the party when they're like, hey, we're trying to lift Thor's hammer. And then he just shoots everybody down at the end.
I don't know. Wherever is in fucking C tier, you guys want to put it. It's
C
fine.
Ant-Man and the
Ant-Man.
Is this the last movie?
Ant-Man is the last movie.
Are we about to finish both Phase 1 and Phase 2?
Yes.
With the best of them all?
The best of them all.
Ant-Man is better than Ant-Man 2, and I don't know if that's saying much.
It's a fun movie if you have nothing else to watch. Like if you just kind of shit.
That is the best description I've ever heard for it.
Like if you're drunk or high and you're like, I want something to laugh at. I'll watch this.
I just every time I see this movie, I just see the potential it had with Edgar Wright.
Oh my god!
Because I see
that was so dumb.
I see certain aspects that I feel were his parts.
Yeah, like,
but just
it at times it's very British in its humor, and there's like some weird jump cuts where it's funny, but then at the same time it's like it's so bland.
Dude, I think if Edgar Wright would have directed Ant-Man, this would have probably been my favorite MCU movie.
It would have had
what happened
so
with
much.
That? Like he just didn't want to work with them.
He didn't want to work with Marvel just because they were telling him, hey, you gotta add this, you gotta do this, you gotta do that.
The main thing about it, the way I remember it, is because he started in 2008 when the first Iron Man was being made.
Yeah, he's been having that Ant-Man project for a while.
He had it for a long time.
He worked on this when he was working on Scott Pilgrim, or
I don't know if it was exactly 2008, but he was one of the first movies that was being worked on because he's supposed to be one of the original Avengers.
Right.
But for some reason or another, they just kept pushing it back. It was already Phase 2, and then they were just like, you know what? I don't know what happened, but let's just get the most boring director to
I
replace
don't know
him.
if I saw this in theaters. Like, it was like one of the weakest MCU movies.
I did not see that one in theaters.
I saw it in theaters.
I didn't. I remember.
I think I saw Minions instead.
Hell yeah.
A much better movie.
It did come out during that time.
Yeah.
This one, I like it. Like
I just think it's. I don't know what to think, man. Ant-Man. Here's the thing about Ant-Man. It's just like the movie happened. I feel like this is just Marvel just being like, we're just gonna throw this movie in theaters. See if you guys like it. I feel like they just didn't care.
They don't really use the characters even that well to begin with. Like,
dude, just visually, that Ant-Man could have had awesome action scenes.
it could have, and it looks like so flat. Like if you're talking,
Right.
remember you're talking about how like these movies look great.
Uh-huh.
This one doesn't look
Yeah,
great.
so-
It just looks bland. Like it looks like a rom-com in a weird way.
It just feels so. I don't know, because there's like little scenes spread throughout the movie that I like him with his daughter, or just like little scenes with him like in the suit. But overall, just like as a whole, it just feels so boring, and I really do think it's the director,
What's his name? Peyton Reed.
Peyton Reed.
Did
Yeah.
not give him.
He's
Fantastic
worked on
Four.
Mandalorian. He's directed some of the better episodes.
He did one.
I don't
Okay,
know. I just feel
episode.
like he's a really boring director.
That's
He's one
the
of the-
thing, though. That's the thing. A lot of these guys are VFX CG guys, and Marvel does like. I think they stopped working with big name directors for a while because they realized like why would you have somebody with power and
Right,
say,
and that was what I was gonna get into. I feel like Peyton Reed is one of those people where like you could just tell him what to do, be like, oh okay.
right? I think with Sam Raimi they had to like fight with him to just add to the. Well, we'll get to that.
Right.
And even Joss Whedon apparently they had a lot of issues with working with the movies. Like he was very like I want to do this and I want to do that. And they're like, but we kind of need you to do this. Like
Right, we
like
kinda,
they hate working with big name directors.
right, just because they actually have a vision on how they want to make these movies.
I think the only one they worked with was James Gunn. Like they let him do what he wants.
For some reason, I remember during the interviews they were like telling him specifically, like, just do whatever you want, like make it more James Gunny. And I think that's what he did with the second one.
That's what he did with the second one.
Oh man, can't wait till we get to that one.
But yeah, that's something I do remember. Joss Whedon being like very open, being like, yeah, they kind of just like pushed me to my extremes with the second Age of Ultron. And then you look at James Gunn and he was like, oh yeah, they just let me do whatever I wanted. So I think at the time they were trying to figure out if they wanted to be more lenient or if they wanted more control over things, but I don't know.
I'd say
It's very meh.
I'd say D tier.
D tier.
Yeah.
It's definitely nowhere near as bad as Hulk, Iron Man 3. No, let's put it at C because I feel like that's just kind of mean.
All right, guys, stay tuned for our second part of this
Wait, any
video.
final-
This is where it ends. This is where part one ends. I don't know how fucking long we took, but I think we took an hour.
Well,
yeah, stay tuned for part two. We'll be back in a few. We will be okay. If you fucking click on the next video, which is gonna be in the link below.
yeah, there should be a link somewhere to the next video.
Yeah.
It only took us 5 months to record it, but to you guys, it'll be seamless.
Right. Phase 3 will be
Next week.
and some sort of date, but it'll come out. All right, this is where we're ending. All right, we'll be back. We'll be back in a bit. All right,
Yep.
Phase 3, we'll be back in a bit. All right, guys.
Excelsior.
New from Lego Marvel Superheroes, the evil Loki has unleashed an alien invasion. You can build the Quinjet to stop him from destroying the city. Assemble the Avengers. Fire up the engines. Blast into action. Activate your superhero powers to stop the invasion. And to protect the city. New from Lego Marvel Superheroes. Each set sold separately.